second video with the 15 mark question is we're going to look at how we can now use our annotations. So there's the annotations we did on the previous video, how we can use those to follow our method and to pick up as many marks as possible. And remember, this is a method you can use if you're just want something to get started on this question, or you're just not feeling too confident with your pseudocode. Follow this method and you will pick up lots and lots of good marks. Okay, if you are really confident, it might help just have a look at what we've done here anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and now use our annotations to write our algorithm. So we've done this first bit on the previous video. Now we're going to use the annotations. So number one, declare the variables, constants and arrays. So all I'm doing is I'm looking down anything that I've given a V next to or a C. I'm going to write those up. So we've got total mark as an integer, average mark. So because the average requires division, the answer may have a fractional component, so it may be 0.7 or 1.4. So we have to set that as a real. Total mark is going to be a whole number. Grade awarded is going to be a distinction, merit, pass or fail. So that's going to be a string. And then we've got our counts: distinction count, merit count, pass count. So those are our variables set up. Oh, and fail count. Those are our variables set up. Important with the names. Part of the mark banding will look at the names you give things. As long as they make sense, it's fine. So if you called it count distinction or distinction no, distinction num, that's fine. Or grade could be student grade. Grade for student, doesn't matter, as long as it makes sense. Let's just go ahead and do our C's. So we'll start off with the top one, which is distinction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constant, call it distinction. I'm going to set it to 70. And then I can say if it's greater than or equal to distinction, then they get a distinction. And I'm going to do the same for merit. So merit's going to be greater than, so 55 is the value, and that won't change. So if it's greater than or equal to 70, distinction. If it's greater than or equal to 55, it's a merit. Same thing for pass, so it's 40. Greater than or equal to 40. And I'm not going to do a constant for fail, because if it's anything else, it would be a fail. If you made one a constant for fail, fine, doesn't matter, absolutely fine. Okay, remember there's no set rules and there are 1,000 solutions to this problem. Okay, we're just working through a method. So we've declared everything, all our variables and constants. We don't have any arrays. So next thing we would do is write the inputs. Oh, before we write the inputs, one important thing: give all your variables an initial value. So set everything to an initial value. So total mark is 0 because it's an integer. Average mark, I'm setting it to 0.0 because it's real, so it's going to have a fractional component to its answer. So grade, I'm going to set it to quote quote because it's a string with nothing. And then the counts are all going to be set to 0 as well. So those are all of our variables given an initial value. So please remember to do that, okay, if you can. So declare your variables, give them a value. We don't have any inputs to write, otherwise I would be writing the inputs. And what I'm going to do is, I haven't figured out the processing yet, but I do know all this stuff needs to be output. So let's just go ahead and output all the stuff we know needs to be output. So output the student's name. Now I haven't stored it in a variable because we know we've already got them. So what I've done is I've said output student name in quote marks, so that will appear on the screen, and then student name bracket bracket, which is the array, and inside there just write something which suggests, so name is just going to be equal to a position in the array. Okay, so you could put student in there if you wanted, or pupil or something, and then what the person marking it would assume it's a number that's equal to somebody in the array. It doesn't matter at the moment that we haven't done any of the processing. Okay, we're showing the outputs. So let's output the rest of the things that we need to output: the total mark, average mark, grade awarded. So let's output those things. Remember, we've got to use the variable name. So total mark, output average mark, output grade. So these two I haven't put text, but perhaps I should. Perhaps I could have done. Perhaps I could have put total mark in quote marks like I've done here, and then written total mark. It's a bit like grade awarded, grade. but it's fine. You're showing that you're outputting all the things that need to be output. Let's go ahead and output these 4 things: the number of distinctions, merits, passes and fails. Okay, so we're just outputting some text and then the variable names, which are up here, and that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that so far. And all we've done is we've just used our annotations. One more thing though, before we go ahead and look at some processing, we need to add comments. So let's do that now. So let's comment each chunk of what we've done here. So declare the variables and constants with the correct data types, which is what we've done. You could write a bit more if you wanted to. Set up the variables, give them initial values, 0 for counts and calculations. Okay, so we've done that, give them zeros for everything. You could say I gave average mark 0.0 because it's real. That would be nice, put that in. And then finally output the data needed by the teacher. Again, you could add a little bit more if you wanted to. So that's our initial work, and you've picked up marks now already for doing this. What we're going to do next is we're just going to go ahead and add some processing. So I'm going to stop this video and I'll make another video where we just add some of the processing, and then I'll talk about where it would sit in the marks. Okay, so thank you very much.